Well, it's a subject, and in many communities, always a taboo. But when we mention menstruation, well, some of us get excited. Some of you don't. And it depends on how the customs and traditions are in your community or society. It's viewed in some perception, so to speak. But we have a menstrual day, and apparently many of you didn't know that. It took place yesterday, though. But the menstrual hygiene day is supposed to focus a lot more attention and create the awareness about how critically that day should be, and also to look out for the young woman, not only to be educated, but also to know and transfer a lot more knowledge. This is what we did. We went out there to the communities, tried to find out a lot more about the day, but also speak to a lot more community members about what they think about the whole day, the subject of menstruation, whether it's a taboo in their communities or not. We have in the studio to help us do a lot more enlightenment on the subject. And I have in the studio Awu Aidam, and she is the Executive Director of J Initiative. And Ms. Hamenya, thanks for joining us. All right. And also we have in the studio Henrietta Lamte, the Program Manager for the Young Urban Women Project of Action Aid Ghana. Thanks for joining me. And I love your red. You look great.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I have to start with you. Do you think that when we have set aside a day like, let's say, the menstrual hygiene day, it has created enough awareness, so to speak, as the intent of the day has been?
Thank you, Roland, and good morning to your viewers.
Good morning.
Menstrual Hygiene Day, it's not just for one day, but the day itself is just meant to throw light on the challenges women, girls go through during their period. So menstrual hygiene day is any day. And let's talk about the day as a global day. It's just a platform created for sectors, all sectors, to engage, to advocate for issues around menstruation, what girls go through when they get to that stage, and how men like you react when you see this being thrown around and stuff like that.
There's nothing wrong with it, really.
So for us, Menstrual Hygiene Day, because we don't see why something which is natural, something which is part of a person's developmental process, should be an embarrassment to her. And some girls are embarrassed simply because they cannot afford this. Neither can they afford the other affordable ones, let me put it that way. That's the reusable types and all of that. And most girls are not able to stand out to say, okay, I have experienced this, I have experienced that, because they don't have the support from their brothers, from their male colleagues, or from their male teachers. Because imagine a girl gets up from the classroom and stained her dress. Of course, menstruation, the menarche, before it comes, it doesn't announce itself. If you are lucky, you may experience some pains and uneasiness and all of that. But for most people, it doesn't happen to them that way. So you get up and you realize you soiled yourself. What would the reaction of the guys behind you be like? Most often they tease. So we're trying to tell people that, no, look, menstruation is a normal thing. It's a normal developmental process. So let's try our best to support the girls so that we don't make it become a nightmare for a girl to transit from childhood to adulthood. Yes.
Okay. Now, I haven't interacted with young girls, a lot more women. How then do you do the transition of, or have you done the transition of incorporating all this awareness into reproductive health education, so to speak, for young people?
Oh, thank you very much, Roland. I do a lot of work with young girls, and there are so many challenges when it comes to menstruation. Even a young girl getting to know the body, because you need to understand your system before you can react to certain things. It is a challenge. This day we throw a lot of light on menstruation and how to handle yourself as a young woman and even as a girl. And you also have the opportunity to share the challenges that it comes with, especially when it comes to education, school attendance, absenteeism. It all contributes to that. So a young girl gets the period and doesn't want to go to school. And this starts especially from class 4 to the upper primary, to class 6 and even the JHS. How do we support these young women? How do we create that space for them to feel free and confident to talk about this issue? How do we do this so that they accept that this is part of our development? Okay, and not just the young women, but the community and their parents and the society as a whole. I know that there are so many support. Even the government is trying to supply sanitary pads for the young women at school and all that. It's a good one because we know that all these challenges are being heard by the right agencies and all, and they are acting towards it. But how sustainable? There are so many questions to it when it comes to adolescents and the challenges with menstruation and the hygiene aspect of it. Even women, career women, there's still a challenge. So how do we work with society and community to create more awareness and for the woman to also know the body and know the hygiene aspect of it? And it shouldn't be a time where your life ceases, but it should continue normally as you do your daily things. Yeah.
Well, we would want to know what young girls or young women, so to speak, seem to think about today, and the whole challenge that has been associated with menstruation, etc. And where they live, are there taboos? How are they viewed by their male peers? And how do they tend to react to certain stereotyping activities? And so my colleague Matilda Bomaga had been in town speaking to some young girls, and this is what we're able to get out of it.
It was very painful, and I was scared too. Yes, I told my mom, I asked her how it is, so she explained everything to me.
So what did your mom tell you?
She said I shouldn't scared. As for the children, the first medicine they will get, they'll be scared. So they don't know what is going on. So she explained to me how I would take care of myself.
Okay, so what did she tell you, taking care of yourself? What did she tell you?
She said I shouldn't tell anybody. It's only her I would tell. So she went and bought a pad for me, and she showed me how to use it. After that, then I went and bath and I came to her. She put it on the pad for me.
When I have my menses, I told my mother about it. She told me not to follow boys and others.
When you had your menses, how was the experience? Were you scared? Were you afraid? Did you understand what was happening to you as a day?
No.
So what did you do?
I went and told my mother, and she told me that I have my menses, so I should take care of myself.
Many young girls will simply shy away from the topic or have very little to say.
Emano, yeah, enano, ya wasadia wo ye mane ho. E de kire say, from 12 years going. Now
mothers have a critical role to play at this time. We need to get more closer to our teenagers and educate them on how to take care of their bodies. Most of the young girls do not understand the changes they are experiencing, so it is very necessary we teach them what to do.
Okwa enko yeti bia babeyi ato the beginning no we bibisa na ya na ne ye din kakrama mbayo ano into the church and kakraba 1 month to 2 months no agene ho.
Some communities and traditions do not permit menstruating women to enter kitchens or cook for them. Some women cannot even attend church service during menstrual days.
Menana bema uye bra unye na duane o men
It's a taboo in my family for a woman menstruating to cook for her husband or even share a kitchen.
This is happening in some communities too, but I do not think it's right. The Bible does not frown on women menstruating.
While mothers continue to play the critical role of education in the lives of young girls, most men or fathers simply shy away from the topic. So we ask, why is it difficult for men to talk about menstruation? Or better still, how different would the world be if men had their period?
But what I think is that traditionally they have made it something like they feel it's a taboo for even a man, or for something like uncleanness for a man to have even a relationship with a woman while she's in a menstrual period. So when it happens that way, people, no matter, because of what our tradition has taught us, it makes us feel like we don't need to talk about it, because after all it's for women. So sometimes it becomes difficult when you even see a lady who has menstruated and the blood is coming out from the dress. To approach the person to inform you is even a difficult thing because of what we have learned from our parents.
But can you imagine yourself having your menses? How would your world be if you were menstruating?
Well, as far as I'm not a woman, it's going to be difficult for me to imagine myself there, but looking at the pains they go through, it's not going to be easy. Yeah, maybe women can endure, but I don't know if it's happening to a man. I don't know how it's going to be take it.
As World Menstrual Hygiene Day seeks to create more awareness on societal acceptance on this natural phenomenon, parents are encouraged to talk to their daughters more about the change.
Matilda Pomaga there. Now, you got the reactions and perhaps even some of the men in a dilemma because of the experiences of stereotyping that they've also gone through and don't know how to even make the approaches. What do you make of it?
Yes, I feel that is why this day has been set aside for the campaign or for the advocacy. Because, again, in order to kind of handle the situations girls go through, like Hetty said earlier, we need to all be involved. So for us, we're calling for family involvement in menstrual hygiene education, because a girl should not be seen by smell and sight. It's essential for that girl to do what she has to do, go about her normal duties freely without any hesitation or embarrassment or whatever. So if a boy should see her soiling her dress, the boy should be able to say, oh, you soiled your dress. And again, the first girl who was interviewed did say that the mother or the sister called her and said, okay, this is a sanitary pad, and then don't tell anybody and all of that.
Don't be having sex and things.
Exactly. It goes beyond that, because you need to take her through what leads to that process. And if she gets to understand it, then she will apply the rules by the day. Then again, you take her through how to take care of her body. So other than that, she might end up being seen by sight and smell.
Right.
And we don't want such a thing to happen. And the last thing, to touch on the man's reaction, we are of the view that the theme for this year is just appropriate. Let's end the myth. Let's end the hesitation around menstruation. That's it, the theme for this year. So all this hula baloo about
just to demystify it, so that there's nothing really wrong with it.
It's just a normal process.
Well, you as men, we may be having our own views about it until you start growing up, or you grow up, you have your daughters, then you know that, well, you also have a certain responsibility and now comes to terms with it. Even before then, of course, you would have been married. So, but there are still men who will still not make their wives cook for them or even sleep with them within the period of menstruation, etc. Now we have initiatives that will make sure girls in deprived communities have at least some access to sanitary pads and things like that. What are the other relevant support programs that go with it? You have the sanitary pad. What sort of education goes with it throughout the year?
ActionAid, for instance, we put up a program, a yearly thing that we do with young women. And we get young women from about 226 community in Ghana here to meet at one place. And we capitalize on such event to teach or go through the process of menstruation and the hygiene aspect, how to take care of yourself when you are in that. But the challenge we have is with the community and the approach. As we watched the video, you saw the first time the girl saw blood, the mother would say, don't tell anybody. So from that onset, you know that it is something which is hidden. It is something I shouldn't tell anybody about. So when that period is also coming, it's, I don't know, but you have a feeling within you. It is coming again, this time of the month. What do I do? Do I hide somewhere? And with this challenge, we go into the communities, we meet with the parents and community structures to support women, young women, especially school-going age, and educate them. So we have workshops. I know other agencies are also working with us and other groups. Yeah, doing the same. So we're getting somewhere, but it all depends on the woman and also the support the woman gets from the male counterpart. Are men ready to learn more about this cycle of women? What kind of support? Why do they see it as a taboo? A woman not to cook for me when that time arrives.
Right. For me, I know how to calculate enough and say, well, at this time you are safe, and at this time we are not safe, and this, so be expecting this at this point in time, etc. That is if the person is regular, so to speak. But at the end of the day, Hetty has mentioned a critical thing. We need a buy-in of the male society, so to speak. How do we do that? And make sure that we get to meet the very objectives of setting up the day and doing all the awareness that we're doing.
Yes, that is why we're talking about it. Because if people get to accept the fact that menstruation is normal and it's just a developmental process, or it's a hormonal something that a lady goes through, then they tend to appreciate it better if a woman goes through that. Because if you're able to sleep with that same woman after the menstruation, and that is a normal blood flow that comes out of her, then what are you running away from? So we need to understand that process. And for us to, we have a program we call the Happy Schoolgirl program, where we take young girls who could not afford the disposable sanitary pads through the reusable ones, how to make those ones and use. Because if we don't do that...
If you say disposable, you have types like that are disposable?
This is disposable.
Okay, but
you use it in...
Okay, which ones are renewable?
Reusable. The reusable ones are the ones that you use and wash.
The cloth type?
Yes. So we take them through how to manage that.
People still use that?
Yes. And people still use the rags.
Right.
Yes. So that is a better option compared to the rags. So we try to educate them around that. They sew their own pads and then they use it. So when it's worn out, they could use it for like a year, but they ensure that it's hygienic. And
we have to wrap up on this though. But do you have special events you have put together for the day, or that you used in marking the day? And especially when, let's say, we need to do a lot more education throughout the year till we get to the next awareness day. What are we doing?
It is a day that we have open and free discussions with young women.
Like we're doing now.
What we are doing now. And we also call on other agencies to come in to support. We work with the district assembly. So it's a day set aside for action on menstruation.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Awareness throughout the year.
Yes, awareness throughout the year. On monthly basis, we'll be going to schools. We've started going to secondary schools already, taking them through the discussions and all of that. But then, just when we go out, maybe you have to sign up for us. There's a sign-up session. You're signed why you support menstruation, or why you think menstruation
I support
matters.
It perfectly.
Yes.
But it's also because maybe I feel I'm well informed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what can you do with the platform you have in order to inform other men? Because they will listen to you better as a man than listening to me as a lady. So you could also play.
Of the day, do we have contact numbers that, or maybe platforms, social media, or where people can always get interactive on?
Yes. For us, you could follow us or add us on Twitter. That's Menstrual Matters Ghana.
Menstrual Matters
Yes.
Ghana.
Hashtag
I'm active on Twitter, that's what I'm asking.
Menstrual
Matters Ghana.
Yes. Or you could go to COP Ghana.
COP Ghana.
Yes. And then for WhatsApp, you get us on 024-230-5656. Yes.
You have as well.
And Facebook, GI Reading, Twitter, GI Reading.
We have a Facebook page for young women.
Is it active?
Yeah, it's active.
Relatively.
Yeah, but it is. We're working with 2,000 young women directly in Ghana.
Right.
So it's Young Urban Women Ghana.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have had in the studio Henrietta Lamte, and Hetty Lamte is the program manager for the project Young Urban Women for Action Aid Ghana. And thanks for joining me. Again, I love your red. Your hair is splendid as well. And Awo Aidam Amenya, always in Downcats, Executive Director of J Initiative. And thanks for joining me, Awo. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll meet sometime again.
I'm waiting for you outside for your sign-up.
And now we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll be doing discussions on AM Talk. We know that Muhammadu Buhari, who is the president-elect of Nigeria in the next few hours, will be taking the reins or sworn into office as the president of the Federal Republic of, as the Nigerians themselves mentioned, in Nigeria. And so we'll see how that goes. But we also have to discuss issues of the MPP and 2 persons being injured when there were clashes between a group of young people who had gone to the headquarters, and apparently those young people were said to have been affiliated to the chairman of the party, Paul Afoko. So do stay on. I'll be introducing my guest soon on AM Talk.